is Duck Insider.
Duck's gonna pick it up, and here we go.
Chuck,
how about that? Score.
How about that?
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
Omarui for three. Yes! Oh, and a steal and slam for Williams. Duarte to the basket. The slam. For the third time in the last 5 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions. Outright champ.
Holy three. Goal! Holy ball. Left wing. Pow. Yeah, boom, boom. Regular season champions. And now Pac-12 tournament champions.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Going to hear from Kelly Graves today, previewing tomorrow's matchup for Oregon women's basketball, which means we won't have a Duck Insider for you tomorrow because the Ducks are playing the matinee. 2 o'clock's the matinee show, right? What quantifies as like a matinee in the movie world? Is it anything before like 5 o'clock?
I think it's before 5 p.m.
Before 5 p.m. All right, so it's a matinee. Oregon women's basketball, 2 o'clock tomorrow, so no Duck Insider for us. So a full preview of Oregon women's basketball coming up. We thought we'd be previewing Oregon men's basketball today. Unfortunately, Oregon men's basketball has had to enter into a pause. They did not make the trip to L.A. and hoping for a speedy recovery for everybody in Oregon men's basketball. The next 3 games on their schedule have been postponed. So in the meantime, we've got some Oregon football to tell you about. We'll, of course, hear from Kelly Graves, as I alluded to. Some really awesome news for an Oregon softball alum today, truly breaking some glass ceilings. Sarah Goodrum will tell you about that. And I also am really excited to preview all things Oregon baseball. Mark Wasikowski, head coach for the Ducks, he met with the media today. We've got a ton of interviews for you from Oregon baseball, including Brett Walker, Aaron Zavala. And let's jump in. With men's basketball still on a pause, let's go to the positive of football. Yeah, because this is one of the coolest things that we're going to be able to do this year. So my thanks to Alexi Cross, who was on the show with us earlier this week talking about everything that you need to know about signing day, goducks.com/signing day. Well, she's given us permission to tell you about some of the items that will be up for the auction via goducks.com/signing day. You can find the link to register for the auction at goducks.com/signing day. And the auction details are as follows. It opens February 1st at noon, and it's going to close on Friday, February 5th at 7 p.m. So how about a Oregon-issued team golf bag? That's one of the auction items. How about an Oregon women's diamond ring that's a size 7? Ring featuring a 16 karat of diamonds. Woo! And it's actually a custom design collaboration made for former Oregon women's basketball player Satu Sabali. That's just one of a few things that are going to be up for the auction. You can find it at goducks.com/signing day. Also, an uplifting piece of news that we told you a little bit about yesterday. Oregon Cheerleading partnering with Food for Lane County in coordination with UO employees as part of the Governor's State Employees Food Drive. Oregon Cheerleading, you can follow them on Instagram, and if you're not already, you should be. More details there on everything that they'll be doing with Food for Lane County. The cheerleaders will be at Autzen Stadium, Entry 5 off Leo Harris Parkway, collecting non-perishable foods this Saturday, just a couple days from now, January 30th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and please, masks are required. The food drive will kick off campus-wide efforts to address hunger in our community throughout the month of February. And if you're not able to donate in person, you can donate online. The link is in the bio of the Oregon Cheerleaders Instagram account for those of you who are interested. You can help us fight food insecurity through Food for Lane County. Oregon Cheerleading just doing some amazing, amazing stuff. That's awesome. More info again on the Oregon Cheerleading Instagram page. Meanwhile, Oregon women's basketball. The Ducks getting ready for that 2 o'clock tip-off tomorrow in Salt Lake City. 1:30 pregame show with Terry Johns and Bev Smith here on the Oregon Sports Network. And it is going to be televised on the Pac-12 Network as well. Kelly Graves yesterday sat down with the media, just toward the end of our show, actually, when he sat down with the media and talked about all things women's basketball and took some questions as we preview the upcoming weekend for the Ducks. Here's Kelly Graves.
I saw a clip of you earlier talking about your team's defense and how much you've liked it, specifically over the last 4 games. I was wondering if there's something specific that stands out to you that's maybe changed to allow that sort of improvement.
That we're actually doing it. I think we're following through with give my staff, they deserve the credit. They've done a great job scouting our last 4 opponents and, put together a good scout, and our players have done an awesome job of kind of, playing the scout. And so I think it's showing up on the court. I mean, 28% from the field, 24 from the 3. Those are numbers that you can't lie. I mean, sometimes the points per game, you can kind of, work them to your benefit because you might play a slow game yourself, but those other raw numbers don't really lie. So been proud of it. We got to continue because both these teams, in the mountains are offensive minded. And so we're going to have to be on point defensively.
Utah, when you played them, that was their first game. How much different are they now? Now that they have, played games and I assume improved with a young team.
They're much different. I mean, obviously they, that night you could tell they were really rusty. They got some good looks and they just didn't knock them down like they have. And that's tough coming off 2-week quarantine like that. But after watching them at Arizona State the other night, completely different team. They've actually changed their lineup as well. They still shoot the ball really well, but I just like their defense is better. You can tell they're a little more cohesive. So entirely different team. In fact, I didn't even watch a good portion of the second half the first time, our first game, because it didn't really help me out. I'm more interested in what they've done recently, and it's been a lot better.
Yeah, Kelly, JR is a bit of a protege of yours off your coaching tree. It's been a slow grow there at Colorado, but they got that win over Stanford this week. I'm just kind of curious what the communication is, if anything, between you guys in season like that, and if a win like that is indicative of where that program's kind of going.
JR and I talk all the time. In fact, I was proud, and she let me know that I was her first call after the Stanford game. But when it's game week, Andrew, we don't talk. We don't talk to each other because, that week we're competitors. But I rely on her a lot. When I have issues with my team or offense or defense, I usually run them by her at some point. And, we're just like family. So this is never a fun game.
I was just going to ask you the latest on Niara and Aaron. And I assume it seemed like Kylie was probably likely to play, but the first two, what's the latest?
Yeah, Kylie's was a concussion, so she just had to sit out. Aaron, back issue. And if you guys have been, you've been around athletics enough to know that when it's a back, it's game to game, day to day. But from what I understand, she'll be back today at practice and took a few days off. And so hopefully it feels better. And then Niara, I don't know yet. Monday she didn't do anything because that's usually our run, lift, and shoot day. Tuesday's our day off. So I know she was getting rehabbed on those days, but today's our actual first practice of the week, technically speaking. So I'll see here in about an hour.
Kelly Graves talking to the media yesterday, and it sounds like things trending well, though, at least for Oregon women's basketball to be a little bit healthier tomorrow when they take on the Utes. I saw a cool comment from Tobiah. I'll bid on the Pac-12 champs hat on the desk. I started at $17. Hey, why not? That's a good one. We had a few different Pac-12 championship hats last year. 2020 started out pretty good. That was a long time ago. We're going to hear more from Kelly Graves coming up. Stick with us. Also, Oregon baseball preview with Mark Wasikowski. He talked to the media this morning. We have that for you coming up. Man, busy day. Duck and Cider back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Hi, welcome to the Spicy Drive-In. May I take your order?
Can I get the spicy chicken sandwich, please?
The spicy chicken is an excellent choice, sir. And to drink?
Whatever's fine.
Oh, may I make a beverage pairing recommendation this evening?
Sure.
If we are feeling especially bold tonight, sir, I would recommend the Mountain Dew with that. It's bravely unrestrained with a very alive aroma that pairs wonderfully with your spicy chicken. It's followed by a hint of zesty citrus flavor.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm sure you already know this, sir, but remember to appreciate the nose first by giving the Mountain Dew a little swirl to relieve volatilize it.
What?
To change the flavor compounds and activate your taste buds to get them fully primed for that chicken sandwich.
Ah, it's delicious.
Now you're getting the hang of it. The muscular flavor-charged characteristics of Mountain Dew make for an absolutely epic mouthfeel when paired with spicy cuisine. It is quite on point, sir.
Dude, it's a perfect match. Like they were made for each other.
So true, so true.
When you want to make good food bolder and bold food better, do the Dew.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield IMG College.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. Today's show brought to you by Crumble Cookies. You can head over to Crumble off Coburg Road here in Eugene. Over 120 different flavors that they rotate through weekly. So, Tobiah, you're up during the break to $23 and a half box of Cinnamon Altoids. Nope, Cinnamon Altoids lost me. You got to do better than that. Actually, Anitra said that, bid two. Yeah. I guess for the good of the order, should we start saying, the hat is up for grabs at the auction? Goducks.com/signing day. You can find out more about everything that's going to be up for auction. And I shouldn't give all of them away. Well, you know what? Why not? One of the things that's going to be up for auction as part of the signing day festivities, a run out with the team at Autzen Stadium. To my knowledge, that has never been auctioned off before. Like, that's never been a thing available to fans. And so that's cool. Now, of course, this is going to be contingent on all of us returning to some semblance of normalcy. But, yeah, that's cool. Kind of a behind-the-scenes tour and a run out with the team at Autzen Stadium. That's going to be up for bid as part of the Goducks.com/signing day festivities. And, again, the auction opens next Monday. Yeah, that's up for bid, a run out with the team. Also, I should say, due to NCAA regulations, no high schoolers at the time are eligible for it because that would be an NCAA violation, being on the field and those sorts of things. But I don't think this has ever been a thing before. Pretty unique, pretty cool. I hope that fans, you'll get excited about this as part of the auction that it will be available on Goducks.com/signing day. We'll tell you about a few of the other things that are going to be up for bid as well. Meanwhile, Kelly Graves continuing with him, previewing tomorrow's 2 o'clock tip-off on Pac-12 Network and a 1:30 pregame show right here on the Oregon Sports Network with Terry Johns and Bev Smith. And if you haven't figured out the best way to sync up the radio call to Pac-12 Network, I promise it's not that hard. I do it every time. And it just makes it way better listening to Bev Smith and Terry Johns than anybody else. I mean, you want your Oregon broadcaster, right? Maybe I'm a little bit biased saying that, but, it's okay. Kelly Graves continuing with the media preview of Oregon and Utah.
If there's a player that comes to mind as a coach on your team, that's more of that role player for you guys that impacts the game incredibly, but maybe wouldn't necessarily jump out to someone just looking at the box score.
Well, one of the things that we're trying to get Taylor Chavez, on track, because I think she can give us a lot of the intangibles that we need. I think defensively she's done a nice job for us, and there's she's played, really, really well defensively, and I think that's helped and one of the reasons why we are playing better defensively. So she's never going to, I think, get huge numbers offensively. We just have too many other weapons. So she's definitely falls in that category. Plus, I think Maddie Shear, she's been injured. So this last weekend was, a different role for her. And then the other is Sydney Parrish. I think Sydney Parrish is really coming. She's doing a good job offensively. She can really shoot it, but she can attack the basket, gets to the line. Defensively, she's always in the right place. So she's doing things that you may not necessarily appreciate all the time, but she gets a lot of hands-on balls that lead to tips, which lead to steals. And so I think those are just some of the few.
Kelly, just wanted to see, since it could be as soon as, I guess, next week, if there was an update on ASU and the makeup, if that's going to be a front end of or back end of next week, or if that's going to wait till the end of the season, or if there's any talk of moving up the OSU game to free up the final week entirely, because there's an argument to be made that would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think these games need to be played. You know, you look at the standings, and not to duck your question in terms of us, I don't know is the same answer I gave you last week. I haven't been told which games will be made up. My guess is those teams that missed out on the most games will have priority. That's just a guess. Right now, we've only missed one game. Some teams have missed 4 and 5. They'll try to probably make those games up before they'll make our single game up. That's just what I'm guessing. But, you know, look at the Arizona-UCLA game this weekend has now been postponed or canceled. And that's important because, you know, those two are vying for a championship and, you know, and certainly for seeding in the tournament. And, you know, one of those two would have had 3 losses, same as us at the end of that game. And so I think there's you know, I think those kind of things need to be played out. And I think, James, that actually is on the conference's mind. I think they'll take those games that you know might have a little bit more importance in terms of what the final standings. So it's going to be a wait and see, buddy. You can keep asking me, and guaranteed, man, I will give you an answer if I got it.
I just figured, you know, you know before they'll probably announce it to us. So that's why.
Yeah.
I guess from a personnel perspective, you mentioned Utah looks a lot different. Just can you speak to some of their top players? Looks balanced from a statistical perspective. You've watched more than I have, and probably some of those you'll be reading stories about them. Kind of what can you tell us just from what to expect from a player perspective?
Yeah, Eric, you have a really good eye. It is a balanced attack. Camry Martin's the one that's really stepped up for him. She had a great game at ASU, had 25 points, but that's been coming. You've seen her playing more. They've inserted her into the starting lineup, and she's been great. McFarland, they've inserted her at the post, and she gives them a whole different dynamic than Pendande, and she's really good on the boards, very aggressive, and runs the floor like crazy. But still, you know, Maxwell, you got to play her for the 3. That's the key. When you play Utah, they run great stuff and they can make threes. And if they're on, you're in trouble because they can make 10, 15, even more. So we've got to defend the 3-point line. I think that's no secret. So Maxwell, I think Gilton, their point guard, is one of the best in the conference. I think she may lead the conference in assists. I haven't really looked at the stats. You know, and Torres seems like she's been there forever, you know, at that 4 spot. She can make threes, but Becker coming off the bench is really good, or Decker, I guess. So it's by committee.
Kelly, a lot of times high school stars, like the ones in your recruiting class, rely on their talent in high school and don't learn a lot of defensive fundamentals and that sort of thing. Did your class come in with a defensive mindset, or is that something you mentioned Maddie and Sydney that they've learned quickly here?
Yeah, well, Maddie Shear was considered one of the best defenders on the Nike EYBL circuit. I mean, that was everybody knew that. You know, Parrish, I think she's the one that's really surprised me. She's a really good team defender. Kylie Watson got a defensive mentality, tough, strong, a good rebounder. Angela Dugalich, you know, she's still trying to figure it out, but she's so long. And I sat and watched film with her yesterday for about a half hour. And I was really, really impressed with, you know, just watching. When you're watching with one person, she has a good understanding of defensive positioning in a team concept. So I've been impressed there. And then, you know, Pau is, she's got so much on her plate offensively that, you know, defensively, she's solid. There's no question. You don't play for Terry Bamford at La Jolla Country Day. But I will say the two other Country Day stars were Candace Wiggins and Kelsey Plum, who scored a lot of points. So they're learning defensive fundamentals, but they're pretty good offensively.
Yeah, Kelly, with Sedona, she has been working her way back in. She's been playing pretty well. I mean, where is she kind of at, I guess, from a health perspective, if you had to put a percentage on it, and just how much more, can you get out of that game, especially now that we're in sort of the final stretch of the conference season?
Andrew, I thought Sedona had a really nice weekend at both ends of the floor. Defensively, she was a huge factor with the 5 blocks and the intimidation factor. You could have accounted for a couple more. I would put it, she's maybe 75, 80%. Only she can answer that. But I know that she's still working her way back strength-wise. She's not able to dig in as deep as she was last year in practice. So, yeah, she's still coming. Plus the timing. It's only been a couple of games back. But when we need her is those crunch time games in March and hopefully April. And I'm anticipating by then she's going to be close to 100%.
I was really impressed with Lydia. I think Lydia's kind of been that whatever you need kind of player. And for her to get the double-double, especially when you were a little shorthanded, maybe talk a little bit about her play against Washington, but also a little bit more on Sedona. Because she's not 100%, are they limiting you on minutes? Because it looks like she's playing some pretty big minutes so far.
Well, she had to this weekend because we didn't have Niara and Aaron and Kylie Watson. So we played her more than we should have. Yes, she's kind of been under a minute restriction. Lydia was great. And Amanda, going back to your question, I should have added Lydia as well. I think she's, showed, I think the other day, how good she can be. She's a great rebounder. She's probably our best screener. And runs the floor. She's our fastest player end line to end line. And she just gives us that energy that we need. And she's been in big moments. I looked back last year at a couple of our best stretches. She was in the game. And so we feel comfortable with her. I think she's earned more and more time, and we're going to need her down crunch time. And then Sedona, listen, she's just she can do so many things, and when she gets stronger and becomes even more patient, she's going to be deadly force in the high post and in the low post as a passer. And then you saw her knock down those mid-range shots. I mean, you've got to go out and guard her, and then when you do, she can throw over the top of most people to a good post player. And her and Niara still haven't played a ton together. So at some point, Niara will be down around the basket, Sedona, somewhere in the middle. High post, and that could be a deadly combo. We've yet to really see it.
I think you're going to see more and more of those combinations now as the Ducks start to figure out what works and what doesn't, as the adjustments have been ongoing after the struggle against Arizona. The Ducks, I think, are piecing things together, as you heard Kelly Graves allude to. Tobiah now says $21 and a signed Sup What You Grow poster. Tell you what, the signed Sup What You Grow poster would be great for the studio. That'd be an awesome addition to the studio. I feel, if it fits like right above Scott's scoreboard over there. We have a lot of stuff on the, we've accumulated a good amount of stuff in the studio. I think we might have a bid there from Tobiah. We might be onto something. GoDucks.com/signing day for the auction that we've been talking about. It opens on Monday. A lot of cool stuff, including a run out with the team, going to be auctioned off once we're all back to some semblance of normalcy. Before we move on from Oregon basketball, well, you heard Coach Graves mention how Sydney Parrish has really taken some big steps forward. She talked to the media yesterday and kind of got to know the media a little bit. She hasn't talked to the media a lot, so we got to know her, and I think that she has taken a huge step defensively, and I think you're going to find what she says about how she has improved defensively and how good she thought she was coming in. Pretty interesting with Sydney Parrish.
Sid, it seems like the three-point shot is falling a little bit more for you the last stretch of games here. I guess just what was the process of getting comfortable? I know you started slow. I think you missed made one of your first 12 or something. But really, really good recently. Kind of what's been the difference, and kind of talk about your comfort level offensively.
Yeah, coming in, I was pretty nervous. Playing your first couple college games, it's a little nerve-wracking coming out to a bigger facility playing, but I just got more comfortable and my confidence just continued to grow. My teammates had more confidence in me, so it just helped mine.
Sydney, you guys have been holding the majority of your opponents under 60 points, obviously leaning on defense recently here with some shots not going down. Did you come to college pretty confident defensively, or did you have to, learn the concepts and have that mentality switch?
I really didn't. I was actually, defense is one of my weaknesses. Growing up, that's always just been one of my weaknesses, and I've had to learn a lot coming in. I mean, I was pretty bad coming in first few practices, first few months of practicing. My defense was really struggling, but my teammates are making me a lot better on defense, and I think that was one of the downsides of our team at the beginning. But we work really hard at defense in practice, and we make it a point to be better on defense. So I think it's been paying off.
Hey, Sydney, I know you just said that defense wasn't your strong point, heading into this year, but your coach just credited you as one of the top defenders on your team. What has maybe been the biggest thing that you've learned defensively being a part of Oregon, and why do you think that your defense has improved so much?
I think that if I don't play good defense, then we're not going to be on the floor, and that's the reality of it. I mean, you have to have good defense to be on the court, and I'm competing against the best players in the nation every day in practice, and they're making me so much better. I mean, I'm guarding Taylor Maxwell every day, and she's a really good offensive player, so guarding her every day is making me so much better. So I give a lot of credit to the players that I'm playing against.
Coach was just saying that Utah looks like a completely different team from when you played in the first time. Obviously, that was like their first game of the season. You guys had a couple under your belt. Just kind of what's the scouting report expectations for this Utah team, and kind of obviously another tough road trip for you guys?
Yeah, we know they're a lot better than the last time we played them, and I think we're a lot better than the last time we played them. So I think just going into the game with the same mindset that we win, like going into every game. So I think it'll be a good challenge for us, and it'll be good to go on the road and play a team on the road again.
Sydney, before the season, Kelly was saying this could be his best shooting team ever. Obviously, by their own standards, Mike Sell and Boley and Taylor and Jazz have struggled somewhat in Pac-12 play. Are you seeing signs in practice of maybe the team breaking out of the shooting slump, and does it just take one hot game to get everyone going? How would you kind of describe what you're seeing in practice with the shooting?
Every day in practice, everyone's shooting lights out, I have to say. So I think it's just we're in a little slump in the games. I mean, I wish you guys could see during practice how many great shooters we have on our team. Like we don't miss in practice, and so it's pretty cool to see. But I know that it'll come during a game. I know it's gonna come, and we're gonna have an outbreak, and you guys are gonna see it.
I thought it was pretty interesting talking about defense. That coming in, she said defense is one of her weaknesses. Well, it's not anymore. Sydney Parrish has been really, really good. Our Toyota Women's Sports Schedule Spotlight: Ducks and Utes tomorrow at 2:00. Toyota, let's go places. So Anitra now said we're up to $100. Guys, I can't get rid of my Pac-12 champs hat. That's a good hat, man. Dare I say priceless? That seems cheesy. We're going to talk some Oregon baseball next. Saved by the Bell. Going to talk some Oregon baseball next. Also men's golf and Oregon softball with some cool news. Seriously, in Oregon softball, I'm breaking some glass ceilings. This is awesome. We're going to tell you about that next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
All right, everybody in the car. Let's go.
What are we going to do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not that far, sweetie.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already?
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
They say that car crashes happen in slow motion. The reality is that crashes happen fast. There's no time to think and no time to check if your child is in the right car seat. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your kids in the right seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Get more info at safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Every Thursday at Hoodoo, you can ski and ride from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for only $25. I'll be right back. Scott and I are out of here. We're going to head to Hoodoo. It's Thursday. Yeah, see you at Hoodoo. Go Ducks. So this is really cool. Really, really cool. Oregon softball has Haley Cruz and Brookiness on the National Player of the Year watch list. The USA Collegiate Softball National Player of the Year watch list came out today. Cruz coming off that shortened 2020 season where she had a .457 batting average. She's a fifth-year senior. She owns a .373 career batting average, 6th best all-time at Oregon. Has a chance to go up or down on that list. And Brookiness put up big numbers in her first season as a Duck. Another shortened season, of course. Tied for third in the Pac-12 with a team-high 94 strikeouts. So Brookiness and Haley Cruz recognized by the top 50 watch list for the USA Softball Player of the Year as we head into the start of Oregon softball. Their season begins next week. Wow. Cannot believe that. And speaking of Oregon softball, this is some really cool Pro Ducks news. Sarah Goodrum, who played for the Ducks from 2012 to 2015, has been promoted to minor league hitting coordinator by the Milwaukee Brewers. Apparently, it makes her the first woman to have that role in any Major League Baseball organization. Goodrum's official new title with Milwaukee with the Brewers is Coordinator for Hitting Development Initiatives. She is essentially filling the role of a minor league hitting coordinator. Bruins Vice President of Minor League Operations Tom Flanagan said Thursday that, quote, to our knowledge, she would be the first woman to hold that position in an MLB organization. Sarah Goodrum, 12 to 15, a graduate of Oregon, spent the last 3 seasons in the Brewers Sports Science Department working primarily on hitting. Her previous title was Coordinator for Integrative Sports Performance, but now she's a minor league hitting coordinator for the Brewers. So to Sarah Goodrum, that's awesome. Absolutely. That's just cool. Yeah, it is groundbreaking. That's just cool. Oregon volleyball also making an addition to the 2021 class announced yesterday. Matt Ulmer, the addition of Daly McClellan has been announced to the program's freshman class. She's from Canby, Oregon, and the native will join the program in the fall of this year. Another Oregonian joining the Ducks. And, of course, baseball season is rapidly approaching, as is golf season. It's already here, actually. Men's golf, first event is in the books. The Ducks opened its tournament season, I guess is the best way to say it, with a 6th-place finish at 29 over. And I think for men's golf, you know, we were talking about this a little bit off the air, at least Scott and I were the other day. It's a young group for Casey Martin. I feel like this is a good introduction back into things, and I'm hoping that we can talk to Casey Martin here coming up on the show before too long. All right, that was a little shorter segment, but I want to get a quick timeout and come back because Mark Wasikowski talked to the media for about 20 minutes, previewing the start of Oregon baseball season, which is slated to begin in about 2.5 weeks. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say that. But the Ducks, he did get asked about the schedule, and we have updates on the Oregon baseball schedule. We're in the Country Financial Studio, and we're going to talk with Mark Wasikowski after this. Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Dear Wallet, you can't stop a new 2021 Toyota, no matter the weather. The Camry all-wheel drive comes out to play. Snowy hills don't stand a chance against the RAV4, and everyone will be comfy in the Highlander. See you in the snow. Toyota. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Wallet, you can't stop a new 2021 Toyota, no matter the weather. The Camry all-wheel drive comes out to play. Snowy hills don't stand a chance against the RAV4, and everyone will be comfy in the Highlander. See you in the snow. Toyota. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Okay, man, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum. That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe. I didn't know the trees were so amazing. Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb. That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you, and today's show brought to you by Shadow Hills Country Club, your family resort just minutes from home. Call for a tour today. Mark Wasikowski met with the media at PK Park, virtually that is, but he was at PK Park. Answered questions about what the squad's going to look like, the schedule, some of the challenges that they faced, as they were one of the first teams and one of the first sports to have their season get canceled in the spring. Mark Wasikowski spoke to the media for about 20 minutes, and we have it for you in two parts as we preview Oregon baseball season, which starts in just a few weeks.
Hi, Coach. Simple question. You've seen Oregon talent with the team and before you coached here. How does the talent look compared to a lot of the years you've seen at Oregon?
I think overall our roster has really improved in terms of the talent. We have obviously a thicker roster than in previous years because we're not limited to the 35-man roster. So we have a few numbers that are a little bit higher than that. Well, we're working at about a 43-player roster currently. I think overall you'll see a better talent from top to bottom of depth throughout the roster than we've seen. I don't know about the 3 years when I was gone. I do know that the time when I was here, we had really standout pitching. We had thin but productive position players. We didn't have depth like crazy. I think what you'll see with this year's group is we'll have quite a bit of depth in the outfield, better depth on the infield, better depth at the catching department, and more serviceable pitchers as well. But still, if there was one thing that we're going to need to see if they've taken that next step forward are the pitchers, specifically the starters, have they elevated their game to where their top end front line match up with UCLA and the best that there is to offer in the country type of starting pitching.
Mark, where are you guys as far as having the schedule put together for the season?
The schedule is complete right now. We had 56 games. From what I understand, the SIDs are, I guess, blessing the schedule, and that should be released tomorrow. After they bless it tomorrow morning, that should be released. We had 56 games. We just lost a 2-game midweek series to San Francisco. So we're in the process of trying to fill that, but we would release the schedule at 54 games tomorrow as soon as the Pac-12 says we're allowed to.
Football, basketball have already either started and finished seasons or gotten going. You guys are getting ready along with all of the other Pac-12 sports from January on. What lessons have you learned from watching some of the other sports as far as keeping guys safe and healthy and kind of keeping COVID away as much as possible?
I think the number one is take it seriously. There are no exceptions when it comes to protocols and masking and things like that. So whatever the experts are going to tell us, even if it changes, that's fine. We need to embrace it. We need to do what they say to be able to have a season. Our sport was potentially the first one to have seasons eliminated. So our guys know what that feels like.
football, basketball, the other sports, what we've learned is that there's some teams out there that have lost that traditionally have won. That's something on our radar screen, and to try to figure out and understand why there's great teams traditionally that have really struggled during this COVID time is a really interesting question. And so we're trying to understand the reasons why that's happened, and just trying to really keep it simple that we have the opportunity to play right now. We're going to embrace it and make the most of it, because we didn't have this opportunity last year after our 15th game.
Those pitchers you were talking about wanting to evaluate, do you have frontline guys? Can you just kind of break down where you feel like you're at specifically with specific names as practice opens, and who are the guys you're going to be looking at to maybe take a next step and compete for those weekend spots?
Well, I mean, the starters, let's just start with the guys that are returning pitchers. You know, the starters, whether it's Ahlstrom, Kafka, Brett Walker, or even Peyton Fuller, and a young kid that was probably graduating into the rotation last year as the season closed down on us was Andrew Mosiello. And so now are those guys, they've gotten better to where those guys, they were good last year. They were solid. They could eat innings last year, but they were inconsistent, as we all saw, even through 15 games. Now, are those guys going to be now at this point so much better that they can match up against the best that's out there? Well, that's the objective, right? That would be, in terms of the returning guys, the starting pitching, that's what we see right now. Guys like Brett Walker have, last year when we showed up, he was probably as dominant as we had through the 15th game. He pitched as well as anybody we had, and he's continued to do so. Robbie Ahlstrom had a tremendous fall. Colin Kafka had a tremendous fall. Both of those guys were really, really good. Are those guys going to be at that level to where they're front line Friday night, big against big, doesn't matter who you're playing against, you're going to match up just fine kind of guys? As a program, that's where we need to be as a program, to where we can, make the claim that Omaha is a reality in terms of getting to the College World Series. Until you can do that with your pitching, you got to do it other ways, which make it a lot harder. The game's about pitching, and the game's about pitching and defense. And if you can match up, then you'll have a better opportunity to do that. When it comes to new guys in the program, you're going to see a kid named Caleb Sloan that's got his waiver blessed. He's a TCU transfer, and he's got a power arm. He should be a big-time factor, probably out of the bullpen type guy, but he's got a great arm and lots of light there. A couple of new guys, specifically, you'll probably see 3 or 4 new guys on the freshman class that could be, put it this way, 2 of those freshman kids, Isaac Aon and Rio Britton, have as good of young arms as we've seen come through the Oregon program, which says a lot. If there's one thing that Oregon baseball has done since it's been brought back with Coach Horton's years, is they could pitch the ball. There were some frontline starters all the way up through David Peterson that were legit dominant guys that were Friday night real people. Isaac Ann and Rio Britton as freshmen, I wouldn't plan on starting them on Friday night right out of the chute, but they look to have as bright a future as we've seen in Duck uniforms since they brought the program back. And then there's a couple other freshman kids that also look like they can contribute, throw the ball over the plate with good stuff as well, and be very productive pitchers. Logan Mercado being one of them. He's a freshman, right-handed pitcher from from the state of Washington. He's got a high pitch ability to him, kind of similar to maybe a Jeff Gold type guy from years past. Really get a lot of innings for you. That kind of guy that could really help our club out. And then another young kid named Scotty Ellis. Scotty's from Southern California. He looks a little bit like a Scott McGuff type, wiry ex-position player, pitcher guy that's super athletic, and he's got an electric arm. And so, right away, we'll see how good or how many innings they get right away. But there's a lot to like out of at least 4 of those freshman arms and 1 of the transfer arms.
Mark Wasikowski, Oregon baseball head coach, meeting with the media today, previewing the start of their season. You heard the schedule is still taking shape. It looks like they might be able to get everything approved by the conference tomorrow. But I can tell you that it looks like baseball season is going to start 3rd week of February. I think that's what things are trending towards right now. And if I spoke out of turn, then Coach Waz is going to text me later. We're going to hear more from Mark Wasikowski. Last break of the show, a little earlier than we normally do it, because I want to make sure that we get to all of Coach Waz today. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Hundo P. Hundo P. Adjective. Short for being 100% sure or certain. As in, if we get a puppy, I'll Hundo P always walk it.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you. Oregon Golf wrapping up the start of their season on the men's side. Oregon Women's Golf getting started next weekend. And, of course, Oregon Men's Tennis against BYU starting their season tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And good luck to Nils Schelander and his squad. And Oregon Track and Field, if you haven't checked the Twitters lately or the Instagram, you saw what they're going to be wearing as they get back on the track. Tomorrow, the Razorback Invitational, Oregon Track and Field back in action. And Oregon Volleyball, you heard from Coach Ulmer yesterday at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. That's when Oregon Volleyball will get things rolling Friday evening for the first home match of the season for the Ducks. At least the first home match that counts. They did scrimmage against Oregon State a few days ago, but it's the first home match that really matters, if you will. And, of course, Oregon Women's Basketball, 2 o'clock tomorrow. No Duck Insider for us, and now we continue previewing the start of Oregon baseball season as they've been practicing and still getting familiar with how everything's going to go. Mark Wasikowski, we continue hearing from him as he broke down the start of Oregon baseball season, where the roster's at, and what to expect this year with the Oregon baseball head coach, Mark Wasikowski.
Well, I just wanted to see how much you could say on it, but I saw there was earlier in the month there was an employee at PK Park who had a COVID issue, and just wanted to see over the last couple of months just how the program has dealt with it, how you guys have been impacted or not. And well, like I said, the employee could have been a janitor for all I know, and that doesn't downplay or the significance of somebody, but what that does in terms of disruption when it does occur.
Yeah, throughout the season, I won't ever get into specifics because I don't know the boundaries, to be honest with you guys, about what I am and not allowed to say when it comes to the COVID stuff. So I can say this much. I think that the biggest impact it's had on our program, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, good and bad news. The good news is that COVID hasn't gone through our program to where we've had a bunch of kids get it or staff members or anything like that. That also is, ironically, that's a little bit of a concern too now going into a season where you've had very, very few cases at all in your program, staff, support staff, people around the facility, and players all included. We've had very, very few. It's basically not touched us hardly at all. But where it has touched us is contact tracing. My gosh, when you when anybody, doesn't matter if they're somebody in your program or outside the program, when they get hit with a contact deal and they're out for at least 2 weeks, that's really been a big player on this whole thing. And we've seen it with basketball and other sports where that's a big player. I anticipate that probably being a big player with us. We'd like to think we did an outstanding job during the fall. We took it serious. The very few number of any contact or COVID cases that we had in our program was great. We felt wonderful about it. But now going into a season, we almost look at it and go, wow, well, it's a little bit of a concern because we've been in that spot now. And so I don't know how to feel about it. I know personally I'll feel this way. I don't want COVID. I don't want it to get anybody around me or in our program, janitors, maintenance people, players, anybody at all. And so the fewer numbers we're going to look at as a positive, and just hope that the experts can get their handle on this virus quickly to where we can all benefit from it.
Yeah, well, last year you talked about, building the program and fan base back up and, getting people back into the stands at PK by any means necessary. And then this all happened. From the 30,000 foot view, when you're trying to rebuild enthusiasm for a program, how do you manage to do it in a year like this where, there might not be anybody to watch in PK this year again?
Yeah, we're going to have to do some specials with the live stream somehow to where we can go I don't know. I don't know how you do it with live streaming and drumming up a ton of interest. We're going to do everything we can. Obviously, fans aren't going to be allowed in PK Park as it stands right now for the start of the season. Hopefully, by the end of the season, maybe that adjusts and we're able to do that. Starting up a program. I mean, hey, bottom line is I know when the people of Eugene see good baseball, they're going to come to this baseball field when they're allowed to. Our job's not to worry about the stuff that we can't control. And right now we can't control fans and seats because they're not even allowed to come. And so hopefully we can give them a great product to be able to watch on a live stream to where at least the people go, holy cow, these guys are really good. And I think you're going to see a product on the field right now that's a much improved, much more confident product that people are going to want to see.
Mark, every year the Pac-12 is obviously a gigantic minefield just going through it. Do you anticipate any changes in that this year at all?
Yes, I do. I don't know where they're going to come from, but when you look at great examples are Kentucky basketball, LSU football, really head scratchers on, man, these are historically awesome programs that do nothing but win, and now they're struggling. There's something to that. I think you're going to see the same thing in college baseball across the board, whether it's SEC or Pac or whatever. I think it's still going to be a minefield. I still think you're going to see outstanding play in the Pac, but like I've told the Kendall Rogers of the world and Aaron Fitz and people like that, I think they've got their work cut out for them right now because in their preseason rankings, they have 15 games roughly to go off of from last year. So they're basically doing their rankings off of guesstimation or how it finished in 2019 type stuff. That's a long ways away from now, from the start of the 2021 season, and a lot's happened. And so I think they've had the toughest road to hoe in terms of trying to figure out who's going to be good this year. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises, both directions. Either teams that are predicted to be in the top 5 may not even come close to the top 5, and vice versa. And I think that's what we've seen in other sports. So I don't see any reason why we won't see it in baseball this year.
Kenyon and Gabe are such known commodities for this program, offensively. To what extent did Zavala kind of play his way into that conversation for you just in the short season last year?
Yeah, Aaron showed me he can hit, so we need to find a place for him to play and play every day. And that seems to be right field. And so if we were starting today, the lineup would have him in right field, and he'd be hitting somewhere at the top of the lineup with Kenyon and Gabe.
Mark, I don't want to take forever on it because when we spoke about it in the fall, we went for a while. But to the long, big picture of recruiting, any clarity in terms of what the future may hold in roster management when, like we discussed in the fall, that the class of 22 and 23 are probably going to be feeling the pinch of the past year?
Yeah, I think there are. I think those classes are going to get – I think it's just going to be harder. It's going to be harder to play at the Division I baseball level, at the highest ends of Division I baseball level. And, there's just The good news is I think you'll see a better product in terms of talent because there's more talent that's collected, fewer rounds of the MLB draft. With more players coming back to school, you're going to see more talent in college. And so who is it going to impact? It's really going to impact the kid that was the bubble kid to start with coming to your program. That kid's probably not going to see the field where in the past they could get a little bit of time. The way it's laying out now, they really have some people that they need to work through to be able to get that time. And that's going to be a lot harder for them to play. Yeah, there's a little bit of a backlog in recruiting classes for the best, for the top ends of college baseball out there. It is what it is. And so for me, it's still real simple. Roster management, it's a tough level to play at. And it just got tougher.
Mark, will Kenyon see some time out of the bullpen this year?
Well, I'd sure like that. He's been throwing competitively. The stuff's not back to pre-injury yet. The stuff is much better. He got it up to 92 during the fall, and it's much better. But it's still not at the level of what we saw before the injury. Not even close. You're talking about one of the best Team USA type guy, right? When he's right. And he's not at that level quite yet.
Yeah, he's not. But he could be. That's what's exciting with the way Oregon baseball's trending. Guys like Kenyon Yovan, Gabe Matthews, Aaron Zavala, I think you know what you have there with some veterans now. And I think the rotation is a little bit deeper on the mound than it's been in years past. That's credit to Coach Angier. We talked to Brett Walker about that. We're out of time on the show today. So we're going to table Brett Walker and Aaron Zavala's conversations with the media for the show coming up on Monday. Again, no Duck Insider tomorrow because I'll be in here helping out Terry Johns. That's right, 2 o'clock tip-off for Oregon women's basketball tomorrow. That means a 1:30 pregame show, which is normally when we would do the show live between 1 and 2. Terry Johns and Bev Smith will have the call for Oregon and Utah. And I got to tell you guys, I'm really excited for this weekend because there's so many events going on, even without Oregon men's basketball, and it's unfortunate that the Ducks are on the pause. You got track and field getting going again tomorrow in the Razorback Invitational. You got men's tennis back in action. Volleyball's home opener. That's all going on. That's all happening this weekend. That's going to be fun. So we'll hear a little bit more from Oregon baseball on Monday, and we'll recap the entire weekend. It'll be a busy one. We'll talk to you for that 1:30 pregame show for Oregon women's basketball tomorrow. See you then.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.